Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah. Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 165 of the Massenomics podcast, the world's strongest podcast, a.k.a. the lifting podcast about nothing. For those of you that don't know, my name's Tanner, and sitting next to me is...
Mr. Tommy.
Mr. Tommy.
Mr. Thomas, Mr. underscore D.
Just call me Mr. D.
Yeah, that's right. You know what, Tanner? I had a dream last night about the podcast, which is the first time after... I guess the prophecy is true. After 165 episodes, you can start having dreams about the podcast. And it happened to me. And it was a very weird dream because we literally had nothing to say. And we knew it was terrible. And
sounds a lot like reality to me.
Yeah, I know. But we were in full on panic mode. We knew it sucked and we knew it was bad. And we just kind of toughed it out. And the whole thing was almost like a nightmare when I woke up.
I was just going to say, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. I woke up and I felt not good about things. Not saying I always feel amazing after I get done with the podcast, but I never have a sense of dread.
Right.
And I did have a sense of dread after that. So we're a minute and 15 seconds into this, and I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Now I'm kind of nervous, though, what we're going to say next.
There could be something out there.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, though, our notes were pretty well put together this week.
Have you seen show notes this good for
this
a while?
Actually might be among our best show notes ever when I look at these.
Not a sarcastic joke either here.
Actually, Tanner, you put in the note for this week's topic, and I go, what do we have? Whoa, okay.
What are all these words?
There's at least 10 bullet points there. That could be an hour easy, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about something that's been heating up, our race for first comment each week on YouTube? Do you know what happened this last week?
Did it go down to a second?
1 second.
Wow.
And it was almost immediately after it was posted, too.
And I would never believe you, but your screenshot does say posted 36 seconds ago and posted 37 seconds ago, which is amazing.
Yes, so, and it was confusing. It confused me, it confused James himself, and it confused a few other people that wrote in. So James, the screenshot showed James Strickland posted 47 seconds ago, and then the other one, sorry, I forget who the other guy was, he posted 46 seconds ago.
I'll see if I can get to the bottom of this.
And a lot of people,
they do get credit for this is.
Yeah, we need to give credit where credit is due. But when you first glance at that, it looks like the other person's the winner. Before you think about it, you're like, no.
Yeah. But one's the higher number.
Yeah. And because James even thought the same thing.
Was it Dylan Peterson? Was that?
That might be.
Because now it just says 3 days ago.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Dylan Peterson lost by a second.
So it doesn't get closer than that.
Wow.
It will be exciting to see how it goes down these next few weeks.
Now we know who pays for the nice internet, I guess. The fast internet.
Yes.
Swim hack. Pulling it off by a second.
More like first comment hack.
That's right. Well, congratulations.
And someone, I think Scott Dodds in the comments there called everyone out. He said, hey, this has 9 comments, but the video only has 4 likes.
Yeah.
You guys have to hit the like button, too.
I always do.
Yeah.
I like it when the Instagram videos, when people are like, wait a minute, the views and the likes and the comment, the numbers don't make sense here.
So yes, remember to also not only comment on the video, but like it too. I don't know, that stuff matters for something.
It's cool to see. Yeah. It makes us feel good. But yeah, 24 comments and 10 likes.
You know what's really demoralizing? I don't see it on there, but getting a dislike on a YouTube video.
Do we have any of those?
Yeah, if you go to the Arnold interviews, some of the really big ones, who's Kaz has 70,000 views.
Right.
You'll come across, go to the Cavs one, see how many down dislike
okay, video.
Thumbs down, I guess.
Oh, come on, it was right up here. Sort by.
What can
Most popular video.
It's a tie for all of them.
Yeah, Bill Kazmaier, 65,000. That is pretty good on that video.
Yeah. And I bet it'll have a ton of thumbs up, but
575 likes, 28 dislikes. Still not as many as I would have guessed for basically 66,000
but
likes.
it's like, man, 28 people.
We're
to me,
so pissed off about this.
It's Bill Kazmaier, and it's a really cool interview, and 28 people said, I do not like this.
Well, I almost think it's pointless to even like these things.
Yeah.
So the fact that you go and dislike them seems even more pointless.
Yes. Didn't Facebook used to have a dislike button?
I can't even
think at one
remember
point
now.
in time it did.
You know what? I don't think we've ever talked about this in the podcast, and I just saw this like a week ago, and I'm not sure. I haven't kept up on the news if it's a thing or if anything more is developed. Instagram is looking at removing likes from photos, so only the person that posts it can see the likes. What do you think of that, Tanner?
It's thinking about removing the number.
Yep. So
you can still like it.
Yeah, you can remove. Yep, you can still like it. But when I go to
the only person that can see the number of likes, is
when
the
I go
person.
to Steffi Cohn's post, I have no idea how many likes she has. She's the only one that can see that.
Why would they do that?
Well, there's a few things. From what I read, what they're claiming is that, and they do have a point here, is that social media is kind of becoming this toxic vanity metric game of, and especially I guess in school. I don't really know what that's like, but yeah, but and I totally, it's probably terrible. Like
kids and their Instagrams.
Kids ruin everything. Yeah, but like, all right, so and so kid in high
bullying,
school, this guy posts and gets 500 likes, and I post and get 50, and I feel down about myself, so I delete my post. And I think that was part of the problem is people were posting things that weren't getting good likes, so then they were deleting posts, and that looks bad for Instagram.
Yeah.
So I think it was part of that. But then the other thing I heard is that. Supposedly it's a way for Instagram to get more involved in the business analytics sponsorship side so that, if people really want to see, and I don't know completely how they would do it, but that just Instagram would have to be more involved, like with people would have to be sharing Instagram's analytics with advertisers.
Right.
And so that possibly would open the door for Instagram to get more, to get a cut out of things, because right now every influencer, they can just work a side deal.
Right.
And Instagram doesn't have to be involved at all as far as taking a cut of it. But then when you think about it, like, way back in the day, if you can remember, there was websites that had website counters.
Yeah.
Like you could, that doesn't exist anymore because people are like, well, that looks so dumb. Like it's so amateurish to have a count. Like
it's like it'd be that green tick.
Like that died so long ago. It's like that's not a thing anymore. But if you own the website, you have the analytics. Same thing with podcasts. No one sees our download numbers except us because we have the analytics. It's kind of like
they're so high, people would be
people
can't.
Like,
oh my gosh,
I mean, after like so many apostrophes and
high.
zeros and everything, people can't even count that.
Like we actually have to use the times 10 to the
the exponential thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you think about it in a lot of things, like kind of, and maybe that makes people be more honest. Like they just won't like things because everyone else likes them then. But it is a different look for the platform.
To us as Massenomics, we run is our business. I don't think it's really that important necessarily.
I don't think it would really do much for us because I think for us, like, people are on board because they enjoy what we're doing and they're not. There's nothing vanity about what we're doing.
No.
So.
The only thing is sometimes we look at who I would consider peers or competitors, and it's just a measuring stick to be like, okay, I see. They're putting out this kind of a post. They have a following of this many thousand,
and this kind of engagement on it. So
it's like, we're in that ballpark, or we're doing really good in comparison to that.
So it kind of acts as the measuring stick for us for what we think like Instagram or people might like.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we kind of do our own thing anyways.
Right. It really doesn't affect what we do. It's just almost curiosity, which I guess if that goes away, it's fine. It'd be one less thing to look at and spend time thinking about.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, it all goes back to likes do not equate to dollars at all, unless you're in the millions, and then then you're at a completely different level. But in the
we look at all these metrics for our business and our social medias and stuff, but there's really only one that really matters at the
how many lift shorts is it equivalent to? What is the conversion rate on lift shorts? And the fact of the matter is, it's not much on a lot of these.
No.
But yeah, that really is. We know firsthand. We've had posts that have almost no likes and make us money.
Yeah.
And then we have posts that have tons of likes
and make us no money.
And make no money, which is fine because again, we're not. It's just a thing we're doing. But it goes to show that a lot of these things don't align. So, little social media update for you.
That is interesting. I'm happy you brought that to us this week.
Yeah, something for you to think about.
Yeah.
So now that we've covered my nightmares and social media stuff and podcast dislikes, or YouTube dislikes.
That just about brings us to our topic of the day, I suppose.
The matter at hand.
It is. I'm going to bring it up here also.
Do you want me to read off the title here?
Yeah.
We will be discussing in episode 165 the new Army combat fitness test that is going to replace the old Army physical fitness test.
Yes. So the old, or I would say even
And
still
actually,
current.
before we get started, we should say we are in the midst of a veteran right here. So we have someone that actually lived this life.
Yes.
So instead of us being purely speculative, we actually do have insider information, and that is Mr. Tanner right here.
But I do think that's what'll be interesting. So I have some experience doing this stuff because my thing is I want us to be able to compare to this just to, does this actually make sense? Like, does this make sense? You know, competing in powerlifting and strongman and the stuff we've done and following those sports and being fans of it, we kind of understand, and even just being aware of CrossFit and all this physical fitness stuff, we kind of have an understanding of what would make someone a strong and capable person to be able to perform physical tasks. You know, whatever the task generally might be. Like, I feel like
We've
have
been
a good
involved in
understanding
athletics of some level and a variety of things, so we know what people are kind of capable of and what things equate to in a rough way.
So you not having the background in being having to do these tests, I'll be curious to get your take on, you know, it's going to be a comparison of the two, what the Army is doing now and what they've been doing for a long time and what it's going to switch to.
So this is for sure getting switched though.
Yes, I've been hearing about it.
So I was going to say, even I feel like I've heard like rumblings of this for years.
And especially if you've been in this, they were talking about this when I was still in the Army. I got out in like November of 2012.
Oh, so it goes back quite a ways.
And I remember at that point in time, they were talking about it then. So it's been, you know, over 5 years that it's been at least talked about it. But what I saw, the plan now is that it should be implemented by 2020. The new one should replace the old one by 2020. They're starting in 2019 here selectively. Some units or some certain soldiers are going to start doing it, and by like October 2020 it should be 100% across the board. I suppose that's subject to change a little bit.
Yeah,
but that's the plan.
It sounds like it is coming.
Yes.
Okay.
So the old one, or the one that was in existence the entire time I was in the Army, I was in for 6 years, has been in existence since 1982 was the best I can find. So it's been along for a very long time, and that is called the Army Physical Fitness Test. APFT is whatever. That's in Army, everything's an acronym, so it's the APFT.
Okay.
That's what you would take on an annual basis. Everyone has to pass it. Everyone that's in the Army has to be able to pass this test. And when I say has to be able to, I don't know what I mean by that, because I saw plenty of people that didn't pass it and they still got to be in the Army. Like, I think if you're bad enough, I do know that some people eventually got kicked out because of it. But when I say has to pass it, if you don't pass it, you can have a chance at redemption, and it can, depending on all these other factors, it can draw out for basically
it's a very
forever.
low, loose bars.
Right. And it may make it so if you can't pass it, you're maybe not eligible for a promotion, or maybe not eligible for I don't know if you become undeployable at a certain time if you can't pass your APFT. But what I know from experience, what happens with a lot of people is they get a like a waiver, a medical waiver,
like
that they
note to get out of gym class,
that they can't do it anymore because they
capable.
And from what I saw, a lot of the people that physically weren't capable of doing it, their main injury or their main problem was being fat and weak.
Oh, okay, so
granted, some people have legitimate things probably, but
not as many people that do that.
A walking profile. There we go. It's been a while, so like all these terms have to come back to me. You'd get on a walking profile, so you no longer have to run. You're not capable of running for some reason, so you're on a walking profile. So that's
what it is.
You can take the walking, and because the 2 mile run is one of the big ones. Okay, let's talk about what the test is.
Okay.
Let's talk about what the current APFT.
And I'm learning a lot here because
Yeah.
I just know I've heard guys talk about this.
Yeah.
But I've never really known what it consisted of.
Right. So the current one, there's 3 events that everyone has to do. The first one is always the push-ups, and you get 2 minutes to do as many push-ups as possible. And I would say the scoring, here's the scoring of each event. There's a max on each event is 100 points. There's 3 events, so a perfect APFT score is 300 points. If you get a 300, you'd be considered a PT stud.
Okay.
That's
Like, is that actually hard to do?
Yeah, a 300 PT score is pretty legit. At least by what these
By what the metrics are to get 100
by
points.
what these events that they're giving you. If you can score a 300, you're at least really good at these 3 things.
So event 1 is max push-ups in 2 minutes. What would score you a 100?
So I did write that down. It depends on your age group and your sex also.
So
the
it
old
is like weighted.
Yeah, but I did the men's age group of 27 to 31 because I know that's what you would fit into. And
You're not far removed.
I'm one higher than that, so mine's even easier. The older you get, they get easier and easier requirements. So like I said, 100 points on each one is the max. A 300 would be a max total. But passing is a 60 in each. You have to have 60 points in each. So you can't just have a minimum score of 180. You couldn't get 90 in one and
then just tank it in the others.
You have to get at least 60 of each to have a passing grade. So
you can't have a lot of like game theory in this thing. You got to kind
of right. And so most people that are really worried about passing don't care what the 100-point mark is. They care what the 60-point mark is.
Yep.
So we'll go over what's 100 and what's 60 for each one. So our group, like I said, is 27 to 31-year-old men. Push-ups for 100 is 77 push-ups in 2 minutes. And I can tell you that's pretty good. If you can do 77 push-ups in 2 minutes,
I think
it's a lot of push-ups.
So, all right. So the strategy there, what's the way to do it? Do you do like 35 or 40, take a break?
And so by take a break, you can't lay on the ground.
Oh, you do got to maintain in the position.
Well, you can put your butt up in the air.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like 2 minutes, like in CrossFit where it's like, all right, you got to do this many.
No,
in
you
2
can't
minutes.
get up.
Oh, okay.
You can't
so
get up and stand up.
That is
and
pretty
shake it
tough
out.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to stay down there, but you can like put your butt up in the air, so you got like more weight on your feet and less on your hands and stuff like that.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, I personally would never go the full 2 minutes. I would go till I'm burned out. But my just a little bit of strategy. What I see a lot of people do is switching between wide grip and close grip. Putting more on your chest.
Yeah, giving one a little
because you
more
can
of
go
a
an
break.
extreme wide grip and just kind of make it a different motion and go narrow grip. But I kind of always did push-ups a little more narrow and relied on the triceps a little bit more. But I was not a max push-ups guy. I would not usually go for 100. I don't know if I ever did on push-ups. Honestly,
it's tough though.
Yeah, I would get burned out, and when I was in the Army doing that, I had a different build than what I do right now, so I was a little bit better built for some of these events than I would be now. But I think push-ups is something I could still go and, pass easily. So passing a 60 would be 39 reps in 2 minutes.
Okay, so you got to get at least 39 to
Yeah,
pass. That actually surprises me.
Yes,
Because I don't picture a lot of people getting 39.
That's
without like a break of any kind.
But the thing is, if you're in the Army, you are supposed to be.
Well, yeah, you're
like you are.
I guess
supposed to be.
I was never in the Army, but in the movies, you just do push-ups all the time. So.
Right. And another thing, you probably don't know this, but the push-up position when you're like not doing a push-up, but you're just sitting there, that in the Army is called the front-leaning rest position.
Oh, okay.
So that's often what you're forced to do as punishment is get to the front-leaning rest position.
Yep.
And you're not even doing push-ups. You're just sitting there in that for a long period of time.
It's like a really shitty bad bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is called the front-leaning rest.
Gotcha. Okay.
Why is that? I don't know. But.
Okay, so you do have to put up a respectable number of push-ups. Okay.
Yeah.
So that one is already. I was expecting that one to be easier.
Yeah.
So next one, or is there anything else to talk about push-ups?
No, I would just say push-ups I liked. I never had a worry of not passing push-ups. Push-ups for lifters, I think is, if you bench press
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to knock out some, and you don't have an absurd body weight, like
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to knock out some push-ups.
Yeah. So then next on the list we have 2 minutes to do max number of sit-ups.
Yes. So this is, you have whoever was in front of you in the testing line, once they're done with sit-ups, they go to hold your feet. They
Okay.
hold your feet down while you do your push-ups, and you have to
your sit-ups.
Yeah, your sit-ups, and your fingers have to stay connected behind your head the whole time. You can't separate them, and the down, your shoulder blades have to go back to the ground. And when you come up, you have to, I can't remember what the mark is, if you have to touch your elbows to your knees.
Is there a front, a side, and is there a front and 2 side judges on this?
There's just one judge, and the judge is also someone that's in the Army, typically, maybe higher, not typically, but of some significant rank usually. And the big thing is who's your judge.
Yeah.
Because some are dicks.
Yeah.
Some are really big dicks. But if it's like your buddy,
all of a
then
sudden
he's
it's like,
like,
oh, anything flies
and
over here.
Anyone that's in the Army would know that this is the case too. That you're like, well, if it's your buddy, it's a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like,
or even if it's the guy that's kind of pretty chill and like not your buddy, but like not a dick.
Yeah.
But then there's like, you're like, oh, I don't want to get in that guy's line. He's like the sit-up Nazi, you know, like he doesn't let anything.
So we're going shoulder blades down, our elbows like touching knees or anything, or like how do we?
I can't remember. There is some. I think that's maybe what it is,
there
or
is
maybe
something
it's
to the up position,
maybe
though.
it has to be cross a
certain plane.
vertical plane or something like that. I really can't remember.
But they are a pretty good range of motion though. We're
Yeah.
not talking like a little cheat or
Right.
short motion of any kind.
And I think as far as resting on that, you can rest in the up position. So that's what I would do. I would say bang out 30 and then rest with your.
Which that probably is a better resting position
Right.
than just locked out on push-ups.
Yes, definitely. You can get some rest in that because you can almost get high enough that
Yeah,
you're
to
almost
where
like
you're
leaning forward.
Yep.
But you can't, if I remember right, once you go back to the ground, you have to be at least making the struggle to be sitting up again.
Yep. So you're never just laying
Right.
flat.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. You could act, and you could do this thing where you're
Like,
but inside you're really relaxed.
Where
you
it's
know?
a grinder.
You could do that, I believe, but there it comes down to the. You could, I believe, do that. So the standards for that test, what's 100 here? Do you have that there? 100 score would be 82 reps in 2 minutes.
You do have it right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
82 reps.
in 2 minutes. That one doesn't seem as bad to me. It's been a long time since I've done sit-ups, but I feel like with sitting in the up position, you could get some adequate rest in there.
82 is quite a few.
Is
like
it? Do you think that would be
sit-ups
harder
were harder for me than push-ups.
Oh, so you think that would be harder than the 77 push-ups?
I think I think that really depends on the person because
Okay.
I see some people are like sit-up guys and some are push-up guys, and some maybe are just really good at both. But to me, the sit-ups were harder than the push-ups.
Okay.
But I think that was part of maybe just having a little bit larger upper body.
Yeah. Just more body mass in general.
Right.
versus
Whereas
guy
with a
that's
push-up,
150.
it's not as big of a deal. But on the sit-ups, it's maybe more of an issue. Minimum is 45 to get a 60.
Yeah, and that
60
doesn't
point
seem
score.
bad at all.
Not too bad.
You should be able to do that.
I never had the problem of not passing. I guess but there are plenty of people out there that are in that boat.
Okay. All right. So then that brings us to the third and final
Yep.
event.
Always the final event is the 2-mile timed run.
And this is also everyone's favorite event, right?
This is everyone's least favorite event. Certainly everyone that I
Have ever known.
Yeah. The scoring for that for our age bracket. Perfect score, 100 points, 13 minutes and 18 seconds. And that is a booking at 2 mile.
That is.
When I first got in, see, it doesn't actually change that much on the 100-point scale. Mm-hmm. There's a big change on the bottom end on the 16 because the 100-point scale I was in when I was like 19 or 20 or somewhere in there, and 100 points was a 13-minute even 2 mile.
Okay.
So that's only changed by 18 seconds if you get 10 years older here. But when I was like in basic training, I weighed under 200 pounds for the first time the only other time in my life since I was in like 7th grade. And I was running all the, you run all the time. I really wanted to get the 13 flat was a 100.2 mile score. And several times I came really close. I think my best ever was a 13:12, which was a 97.
Yeah.
I think the last one I ran at basic training, I ran like a 13:12, which was a 97.2 mile. And that is really to someone that's a marathon runner and excels at it, it's still.
Or someone that's actually like a serious distance runner.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not groundbreaking,
Right.
but
A 13-minute 2 mile is still good. If you see someone running, they're not sitting there like doing the lineman
that's
trot.
6.5 minute miles.
Yeah,
Like that's.
right.
I mean, maybe a lot of people can get that for their first one, but the second one, you're definitely going to be slower.
Yes.
I couldn't even tell you. I actually don't think I've ever done a timed 2 mile run in my entire life. So
I have not.
I don't even
since
have perspective on that.
November or October of 2012. I definitely have not since then. But the minimum score for our age bracket would be a 17-minute 2 mile, and I think either of us could go out and get that today.
I want to say I could 8.5 minutes per mile. That seems pretty doable.
Yep. I mean, I could do it, but I would be hurting when I got done.
Well, yeah, but if it actually meant something, I could for sure make that happen.
Because when I was getting out at the end of my 6th year, I had gotten way out of running. At the very beginning, I was running close to that 13-minute. By the end of it, I was doing more like a 15.5, and I would be hurting by. I was starting to get heavier and stuff, and it would not be fun. But I know today, anyone with any willpower and some, like you or I know could go out there and force ourselves to run it in 17 minutes or less. It just wouldn't be that fun.
Yeah.
So that is what the APFT is as of today.
Okay, so we're focused. We're really putting a lot of emphasis on the importance of push-ups, sit-ups, and a run.
That is it.
And right away, looking at that, you're like, okay, push-ups, like we're putting emphasis on upper body strength, sit-ups, like core strength. Yeah, okay, I guess that's good. And run, you should definitely have some level of endurance. You can't just be a fat power lifter or you got to be able to move. That's advantageous in the armed forces, I would say.
Yeah.
But now, if we're looking critically at this, are those the best measures of physical
and that's I think the
preparedness
big
for
question.
these things?
And also the push-ups and sit-ups are both max number of reps in 2 minutes of something where you're getting into the to achieve max, you're into the 70, 80, 90 repetitions number. How many people do you know that go in the gym and to test their physical strength or ability?
Never get to the point where they really are. We are emphasizing more on the endurance side of things than the strength.
But an extreme emphasis. Because who goes and I wonder what my 80 rep max on the bench press is.
Larry Wheels does. Look at him.
Yes, right. But you know what I'm saying? A 20 rep max, that's where is maybe a better indicator of
even be 10 rep maxes.
Yeah.
It's kind of well, what are we doing a 10 rep max for?
Right.
Here we're looking at an 80 rep.
Right.
I get it. It's not a weighted, it is a body exercise thing, but our body weight thing. But yeah, still, it's just numbers that are so far out there,
Right. So yeah, I guess that's I would say had a pretty good synopsis of that, like anyone that would look at it and not have seen it before. Mm-hmm. So now we'll talk about what they're talking about switching it to. And this would be the alternative name. They call it the Army Combat Fitness Test. So it would be the ACFT.
So we got a new letter in
Yep,
there now.
a new letter. That's important. Like I said, they're starting to roll this out here in 2019. Should be to everyone in 2020. And there are 6 events. We're going from 3 to 6.
Okay.
So that already kind of makes sense.
Seems like a more accurate gauge of your physical fitness level.
Yep. That makes a lot more, I feel like that's a good thing for starters. So event 1 is the 3 rep max deadlift, and they do this on a trap bar. And
all right. So yeah, go ahead. What's the weight then?
Yeah. So I was a little confused on the new test. There's all these not weight, but age and sex brackets on the old test. The new test, it's not that way.
Oh, really?
It's still a 60% or a 60-point score is what you need on each of these individual events. Mm-hmm. and a 100-point score on each of them would be max. So a 600-point would be a max ACFT, but there is not the age or the sex classes in this now. Everyone's in the same. From what I saw, someone could maybe see different. But
like men and women have to score the exact same on this?
They have the same events, and they're scored the same.
Like with the same weights and everything?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So they really are doing the exact same test?
Yes, which to me it makes sense because regardless of what age or sex someone is, if you're asking them to be a soldier and do soldiering skills,
yes, like it kind of is like it kind of is the ultimate example of there's no white classes in the
wait, you're 32. No, you don't need to carry this your injured partner away.
We don't demand as much of you.
Like you're actually you're a woman. We're not going to rely on you to help your wounded fellow soldier in combat.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Like, if you really are in war zone situations, like when worst comes to worst, you want the people that can get shit done.
But the one classification that they do make, which this to me makes more sense too, is 60 is that's the base requirement for anyone. People that are in like a high needs positions, or it'd be an MOS in the military is your occupation, what your job actually is. People that are in jobs that require a higher amount of physical preparedness have to score a 70.
That makes sense too, though.
Yes. And when I read that, I just read that earlier today, and I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah. Like
so it's actually based on what the expectation of what you're going to be doing in the Army.
Yeah,
that's how you need to score.
It makes sense. Yeah. Like it just makes sense. Like if lives are on the line, it makes sense.
Yes. So the scoring of the 3-rep max deadlift, they're going to use a 60-pound trap bar, a minimum score, a 60 points is 140 pounds for 3 reps.
Oh, so like you call the weight on the bar?
Yeah. It's a 3-rep max. I don't know I don't know what they say. Like, I don't know if you get 3 attempts or I assume you just kind of get one attempt.
So you got to really call your weights right here. You cannot lower the weight on the bar once it's been called.
Yeah. I don't know any specific. I assume most of these people aren't looking at it with experience of powerlifting, so they're not like clustering it with all that like weirdness. They're just saying like, how much do you want to do?
Okay, 140 gets you a 60, which probably on board with. If you think of like picking up a person, most people, especially if you say they have, I have no idea what Army gear weighs. I imagine
your flak jacket's usually at least 20 pounds, I think.
So
you'd almost have to assume you usually have almost 40 or 50 pounds of stuff on you.
That's why I would assume like most people, like if you say you got to pick someone up, you're probably looking at closer to 200.
Yeah, I think 200.
I guess 140, you can move things. Yeah, then. That's better than being able to, like a lot of jobs that say you need to be able to pick up 50 pounds. I think 140 is a better one. And then what is the 100-point one?
340 for a triple.
340. Like for us, it seems maybe a little low.
Yeah,
like
but no, I think
bar. But
if you can pick up 340 pounds 3 times you're probably like.
You're useful to have around.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah, you might not be the strongest guy in the world, but you can move things. Like you're useful to have around. And I'm totally fine with it being a trap bar. I think that makes sense. Like that's
the only and I was thinking about that too. One thing, the accessibility, because I don't know how many thousands of people are in the Army and how many different locations. Like that means they all have to have trap bars.
They're a good time to be in the trap bar business.
Well, yeah, especially with the government
trap bar contract.
Contract for trap bars, they probably sell them for $1,000 a piece.
I'm sure. That rogue luxury tax is really
maybe
jumping
we should
up.
we should look into making a trap bar.
Massenomics trap bars,
and it doesn't even have to be good because somebody's gonna know the difference. But the one thing about a trap bar is at lockout,
they can be very different.
Yeah, and it's less stable at lockout because on a regular deadlift, when you lock it out, it's in your hands against your body. Mm-hmm. Like it's
depending on where your hands are on the grips.
Right,
like
and I've done like max out trap bar lifts.
You have, I've seen them there.
And when you lock it out, it's floating. So there is this thing like you have to really brace yourself. Mm-hmm. or else it can feel really, really wavy.
But
and,
now we are talking 340 pounds at the
Right,
max, too,
right.
though. We're not talking like 700, Tanner.
Right, right. So it is different, but it's then the other thing, it is a max to these people
Yeah.
if they're doing it, but relatively it's so much less weight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could make the case for a regular barbell, but I suppose I know what they think is that a trap bar is easier to teach people, but really I don't know if it is. I think it's like people can say that as a almost just that's something that people say.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's true. Like you still need to in order to do it safely, you still need to do the same bracing, and it's not like it's like, oh, it's a trap bar, you don't have to.
Yeah. And the whole thing with trap bars, too, is that you can have trap bars where the handle is at like barbell height, and you can also have trap bars where the handles, the way they're built, give you anywhere from 3 to 8 extra inches.
And they'll have to have a standard of that,
But that already can make it if it's a trap bar
it
that
can
has
make it a
5
way
inches
easier.
of lift on it.
So it's just easier.
Most people, your torso's very upright now when you're
Right.
starting that. So
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of unknowns.
Like I
there,
could pick apart a lot of that stuff because we're lifters.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I think having a deadlift and
yes,
a 3
I
rep
think
max is a
someone that shows they can pick things off the ground is
Yeah,
helpful
yes.
in a crisis scenario.
and having a 3 rep max and not a how much can you deadlift 100 times.
yes.
Because practicality, that's what you need to know.
Yeah.
Like how strong are you really?
Yep. So, okay, so I'm on board with the first one here. What do we got for number 2?
Number 2 is the standing power throw, and I liked this. I'd say I like number 1 and I like number 2. You throw a 10-pound medicine ball backward overhead for distance. So you grab just a 10-pound ball, and it would just be, not a ton of. It's not going to be like a super technical thing.
Yep.
I've done the keg tosses in competition that are exactly like this. You rear back. And,
Yeah, it's becoming a more popular
Right,
strongman event
right.
with sandbags and everything.
Throw it as far as you can for distance, not for height. It's a 10-pound medicine ball, not that heavy. Minimum score would be 4 meters, so about 12 feet, which with a 10-pound medicine ball, you could almost just drop it
So
and
you
it would
just
go that
throw
far.
it like a baseball that far,
Yeah. 13 meters would be 40 feet about. I'm pretty sure we could both go do that right now. I'm pretty positive of that.
I think so, yeah.
There again, we have the lifters would have people that lift weights are going to be better at an event like that.
Yeah, but it is like more of a dynamic movement.
I
than-
like that. I like
Yeah,
having
I
something
think
like that.
Which you need people that
Explosive,
just squat, bench, and deadlift isn't like what you need here. Like
Right.
you need some people that can move and have
Yes.
some explosive power. So yeah, I'm cool with that one as a way to
Yep.
measure that.
Yep. Number 3 is push-ups are still in it, but the change is it's a hand release push-up. So that means when you go down to the ground, you go all the way down to the ground and your hands have to come off.
up off
So
the-
it's a lot harder
Yeah.
of a movement because that's part of the thing with the regular push-ups is the judging.
Yep.
They do have a very specific standard that they go through at the beginning of every
Yep.
but
But there's
PT test.
that's just always going to exist
Right.
whenever you leave it up to
Right.
human.
So here
judgment.
you have to go all the way down, chest onto the ground, and release your hands. And you do as many as possible in 2 minutes. So it's exactly the same except they're hand release. But the numbers are a lot different. For a minimum score of 60, you have to get 10.
That seems way too low.
It's pretty low. But
way too low.
I suppose if women, I'm not just singling out women, but typically less upper body strength.
Statistically,
Yeah.
they would have. Yeah.
Yes, and 10 hand release push-ups. I mean, as a
guess.
minimum marker, I think if you can do at least 10 of those,
You've shown
you
that
have
you
some
are
upper body
proficient,
strength. Yeah, you have some you have some upper body strength. Max is 70, so the max isn't very much.
Max is
and if you can do
still-
70 of those,
I
that
was
in
gonna
2
say-
minutes, you got to be like booking to.
Yeah,
Like that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, because in 2 minutes, it's 120 seconds. Like you're doing one.
Yeah.
Like you're not even doing. You're doing one in like a second and a
In
half.
the old standard, you could go.
Yeah.
Someone that's really good, they're banging him out so fast. But this.
Yeah, to like get the
yeah.
sign that you can go.
Yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
really pumping those things out.
Yes.
Man, that just seems like a race against the clock on that one.
To get that-
assuming
that
like
good of a
assuming you
score.
had the strength
Right.
to even just
Yes.
get that many done, like
Right.
it would be
You'd have to be
time
cooking.
would not be
Yeah.
on your side. Okay, so push-ups are in. It's the military. They like their tradition. That will
Yes.
probably never, ever, ever go away.
I like hand release push-ups better than
That's probably
the
a
old
truer
push-ups.
test, yeah.
I like that better, I would say. Okay, number 4 is the sprint, drag, carry, medley. This one was pretty interesting.
Medley, huh?
They might not even call it a medley, but that's what I call
Oh,
it because
okay,
that's
you
what.
might
Yeah,
have freestyled
I think
out
I
it.
just added the medley, but that's what it is.
Yep.
And this is a good event. This is a good test. So it's 5 50-meter shuttles. So I think the way the course is set up, it's 25 meters long. So the first one, you just run down 25 meters and back to the line. You run down, touch the line, and run back.
Okay.
Then the second one would be, what are all of them now? The second one I think would be the sled drag, maybe it was. So it's a 90-pound weight sled. It's just like a pretty simple weighted sled that you pull backwards. So you have to run backwards. Okay. And 90 pounds, I suppose they load it with 2 45-pound plates, I would think. And you have to take that down and back. Mm-hmm. Then the third one, I think, is a side shuffle. You just shuffle down and shuffle back. You know what? Where you're like heel clicking. Yep. And then the fourth one, there's 40-pound kettlebells, 2 of them. You pick them up, 1 in each hand. It's like a farmer's carry. It's just 40 pounds in each hand. You go down and back, and then the last one, I think you run one more time down and back. Huh. So that's
I like that. It's a more practical application for running with these things, especially like the sled pull and that stuff. Like those are things that...
And the farmer's or the kettlebell carry.
Yeah, to actually be carrying stuff.
That, in comparison to a 2-mile run, is such a better test. Because also in a 2-mile run, you're dealing with 13 to 17-minute time frame. Mm-hmm. In combat or battle or anything... Like, I mean, you've played Call of Duty. How often do you play? Not that Call of Duty is real life, but
I know.
How often are you just like running for 15 minutes in like an urban environment where you're going through the city and maybe kicking down doors and like you're not jogging for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's probably more of it's. You probably should. I mean, probably the more realistic way to think of those things is like a sprint situation where it's going to be like maybe 10 to 20 seconds of very high impact.
Very high. Super high adrenaline.
And then, maybe like 20 to 30 seconds of like collecting what's going on. And then 20 to 30 seconds of the next thing. And
definitely.
I'm totally talking as a guy that's seen movies and listened to things, but that's just the way I always thought it was and not like.
And the thing of it is, like in training, we never did anything outside of the 2-mile run where you're jogging for 15 minutes. That I mean, someone else maybe has different experiences, but like we weren't training other things where you're like, all right, now I have to do a steady state cardio for 15 minutes.
Making you jog.
Yeah, right? just for PT, for your. Yep. But like I'm saying training like you do a lot of practical training like hands-on simulations and that sort of thing, like where you're like dealing with insurgents and stuff like that,
and there was never the part where run from the enemy for 17
exactly.
minutes.
That's like that's kind of my point. Is like I just don't understand the practicality. But this test, this 5x50 shuttle, is
a
real
situation. Where you could be like,
all right,
between
we need you to sprint for 50
locations,
meters. Pick up these 2 fuel cans
Yep.
that weigh 40 pounds each.
Actually
run back here
delivering
with
some
them.
supplies.
Yeah,
doing
like
things.
This person's leg is blown off. We need you to grab them by their flak jacket and
get
pull
them to
them
safety,
here.
yeah.
Like those are all realistic.
That seems very applicable and a good measure.
The time limits on the scoring also fit into that, making sense. A perfect 100 points would be doing that in 1 minute and 40 seconds. So 1 minute and 40 seconds of balls out, going like crazy is something that could happen and that I picture happening in real life. Minimum score would be 3 minutes and 35 seconds, and without actually physically trying it, it's hard to even imagine whether that's easy or hard. But I still, there again, someone that has experience lifting and has any sort of decent cardiovascular shape, we would suck wind if you or I went out and did that. We would be sucking wind by the end of it.
Probably feel like you want to puke.
If you really went hard. But that, to me, that's a fun event.
Yeah,
like that's it's just it's almost like a
really light strongman.
Yeah, or like a CrossFit event, really.
Actually it is. Yeah.
So I think that event makes a lot of sense. And then event 5 is the leg tuck. So what that is imagine you're hanging from a pull-up bar but not hanging like this. You're hanging with your hands close together, and your your body's going parallel with the bar.
Yep.
And you have to pull your knees, your legs up.
Almost like you're like a spy shimmying across it.
Yeah,
kind of.
yes. You have to pull. You don't pull your legs up to hang on it, but you just have to get your legs up there that high and then come back down, and that's a repetition.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a toe to bar.
Yes.
But instead of
it's
having
like a
your
knee tuck to bar.
Yep. With the bar, like you're straddling the bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of the way you'd usually hang from a bar to do pull-ups or toes to bar, you're kind of hanging the other direction with your hands.
So yeah, by the time your legs get up, by the time you get up, you are straddling the bar with your legs, basically.
Yes.
But,
yep. Yeah. And I had to try. A couple of us tried that at the gym the other day, and I was like, "Gosh, that might be really hard for me." And
it does take a certain level of mobility. That's for sure.
And it wasn't quite as hard as I thought it would be, but it's still it's kind of an interesting test. It says complete as many as possible in 2 minutes. Maintain a relative vertical posture while moving the hips and knees up and down without excessive swinging or kipping. So no kipping.
You can't just start swinging this back and forth.
Right. Minimum to get the 60 is 1 rep. Just being able to do it one time.
That seems really low to me because we're not asking for a pull up. We're just asking you to get your leg. And you could still get a little movement into it.
Yeah, you could get a little kick out of your
legs.
legs.
There's a difference between what they're saying here with excessive and kind of getting a little swing into it. So it just seems like everyone should be able to get one fairly easily.
Max is 20. That might be pretty hard for me. I don't know.
Is there a time limit on that?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah,
I mean, you hanging for 2 minutes would be.
Even that's not fun.
That's a grip and.
Okay. I still see that practical application in that one too, though. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and the last event, which unfortunately they could not get rid of apparently because it's just like people. It's just that I guess change is hard. They had to include the 2 mile run again. Mm-hmm. They changed the standard quite a bit though. A minimum is 21 minutes. So 4 minutes higher than.
So it did get drastically easier.
Yes, but the 100 is a 12:45 I have marked. So the 100 is even actually higher.
Yeah, raising the bar.
And the other thing is that this is important to consider. The 2 mile before was just after sit-ups and push-ups and sit-ups. Now you'd be doing the 2 mile after these 5 events. One of which is this medley sprint. Which, like I said before, I would be gassed after this. Like, I would not want to go run 2 miles.
Yes. Well, but at the minimum time, though, so...
a 21 minute.
You're running less than 6 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, can't people walk at about 3 miles an hour?
I would just about imagine you could power walk pretty close to 21, don't you think?
Yeah, I would think, but...
That's a 10.5 minute miles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just under. It's a little slower than 6 miles.
Like if I was stranded out in the country and had to get 2 miles to, I would probably do it in less than 21 minutes just because of I'd just be like,
get me out of here. I have some self-respect. My time's worth something here.
But you would be pretty tired, I think, after those. The deadlift would.
So what type of time are you talking about between these things? Is it just like event 1's done, run to event 2, or like
they had some verbiage about that, and I didn't really look at it, but they did have some
like
specifications.
Some break time in there though.
Yeah, but you don't get any They are specific. I know that you don't get extra break beyond what the. I really don't know. They did talk. They did lay that out,
but that is
standardized.
Yeah,
it is standardized. Yes.
All right.
Because that would make a big difference. If
I didn't know if it was like event 1's done, and all right, guys, in an hour and a half we're starting event 2.
Well, even like after event 4 going to event 5, after the sprint drag carry and going to the leg tuck, I wouldn't want to jump on the leg tuck right away after that. I'm going to need a few minutes to I could go get that one still to get my minimum 60, but if you wanted to push that, you'd need a little bit of time after that.
Yes, you would. Yeah.
But the first 2 events, for
you or I, wouldn't nothing out of you.
No, it'd be like you didn't. I mean, there's no incentive to go over 340 pounds, so we'd go deadlift 340 for. Yeah. Actually, though, if they would allow it, I would ask
guys,
can we do 500
or do this one for me?
Yeah.
Put on a little demo.
Yeah. And the standing throw would be nuts.
Oh man, yeah.
I assume you get a couple chances at that because you could just muff 1 or 2.
You could.
Yeah.
Could scratch it.
Yeah.
Over the line.
Yeah. So that's the new test.
Well, overall, I think it is a much more complete picture of who you would want someone to be in a wartime situation.
I think it's a lot better.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but there is a lot of things you have to consider with a big thing is equipment. What do they actually have for these thousands of soldiers to be able to use all over the country?
Well,
like how
Tanner,
can
I heard the defense budget is not going down this year, so
that's true. Well, and is physical fitness, like if they're going to spend money on something, it's good as
yeah, it makes sense.
But that probably is a pretty huge investment to get these trap bars.
Oh, I'm sure.
The
Yeah, I'm sure.
kettlebells, the sleds to because they don't have any of that stuff right now. They got the leg tuck. There's pull-up bars everywhere because that's a big thing already. I don't know. There's probably Marines out there that know this, and they probably laugh at the Army test anyways. But I know that the Marines do include pull-ups as a part of their.
With the new one, or
No,
well,
there's
the old one.
This is the Army.
Oh, just the Army.
Yeah,
okay.
this is the Army. The Marines have a different test, and they call it. There's some other acronym. I'm quite sure, but I do. From what I know, I think they have a run. It might be even like 3 miles. And I know they include pull-ups in the test. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But that's all I know about that.
Wow.
But I think it's a good change.
Yeah, I would say so
All in
too.
all.
And it looks like there was actually some thought that went into this one.
Yep.
But yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Overall, A for effort.
We'll have to get some feedback from Sergeant Anderson in the
Yes,
coming
yes.
months or years whenever this actually goes into
He's
effect.
gotten to do this.
Oh, he has?
In training for he said the sled drag and the 40-pound kettlebells were kind of funny because other people there he's there doing it with, or maybe the people that were putting it on, they're not people that lift. And Ryan is a guy that goes to our gym. He does lift, and they were saying like, "Oh, don't those 40-pound kettlebells are going to be like that's a grip workout to do that." And like to people that don't do that
It's
stuff,
like, well, yeah, this guy's got kind of. This is heavier than pulling groceries in the house, I guess.
right. But like to him, that was kind of
compared to a farmer's carry
Right.
with a couple hundred in each hand.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't
really-
quite stack up.
right.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, Tanner,
That's that.
I, as well as all the listeners, appreciate your intense research you put into all of this piece.
Yes.
That was very educational.
It's what the people wanted, so I could deliver.
Just one of the services you provide.
Everyone had asked me, when are you going to finally cover the Army physical fitness test on
We
the
need the
Massenomics
official
podcast?
Massenomics take on it,
Yes.
and here it is.
Yep.
Wow. Well, we are, believe it or not, Tanner, it took almost 52 minutes for us to get through that.
Holy moly.
So we're almost done with this thing.
Yeah. Things just always take a while once you get going.
Yeah.
So what do we have time? What do we and do we not have time for?
We have time for...
Probably only have time for like one thing.
Basically, yeah, pretty much.
Well, is it going to be underrated, overrated?
Probably has to
Kind
be.
of got to be underrated,
It
overrated.
kind of has to be.
Yeah. I do. Last time we said that we split it up. Last episode we read the rules. This week we're just going to read the Q&A. So if you need the rules, go back and listen to episode 164 because we're only
or episodes 150 through 163.
There's some pretty comprehensive rules in there. Overrated, underrated FAQ. Question: can Tommy come up with his own over/under topics? Answer: it is not suggested or preferable, but under special circumstances, it could be petitioned to be allowed. So keep that in mind, Tommy.
Yes, I will keep that in mind.
It could be petitioned to the
jury?
petitioning board. Question 2: can the rules change? Answer: the rules are fluid. They are a living, breathing organism that can evolve with time. And that is the Q&A.
All right.
That's the popular Q&A. So if anyone out there has any additional questions,
Submit them.
If they become popular, submitted by enough people, it could be added to this
All right.
Q&A
Yeah,
in the
and
future.
a lot of people I do know were asking about the jury and submitting questions, so I'm glad to see that one was cleared up with them.
Yes. Okay. Topic 1 of over/under. Overrated or underrated? The Rock.
You're making me think on this one,
Yeah.
Tanner. I want to say
he is rated pretty high.
Well, that is the thing is like every person wants to be like, well, it's The Rock. He's the man.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he's overrated. But
that's
also,
what makes him a good topic for overrated.
The Rock is like rated at the top of every list. Like you can't rate him any higher than what he is. Like he's number one on like the movies that make the most money, like the biggest star, the highest paid star, like.
And as we know, appropriately rated is not a choice.
And it's not a choice.
On overrated, underrated.
Like part of me wants to just be like, he's the man. He can never be overrated. But the fact that he's I'm just repeating myself, but he is number one on every list. So how do you get more? How do you get more rated than that? Also, I did see a meme the other day that was really good, and it was a picture of The Rock, and I'm totally gonna butcher it because I can't remember it exactly.
Dwayne.
Yeah, but it was like a movie poster, and it said, "Coming this summer and every summer for the next 70 years, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is action hero guy." And I kind of want to be like, we are 10 years into that, and
that is true.
I don't think that's gonna let up anytime soon.
Nope.
I'm gonna say, I know everyone will reply to this one and say he's underrated, but they're not going to put the thought that I just put into it. So I think I'm going to have to say he's overrated. That doesn't mean I don't like him.
Right.
This is one I'd actually like to petition to the jury. Like, can you just like, what are the rules when something's already rated as high as it can be?
Yeah, it's kind of
almost a trick question.
When I thought of that one, I thought this is a good one.
Because if I said he's underrated, well, that means like he's not
like,
getting
what
rated.
Is he getting going to get rated better
high enough.
for?
But what could he be rated better on?
I think overrated is the right answer, and I also like The Rock.
Yeah. As a Rock fan, it's probably in the context you presented this question, I think he is overrated.
Yeah. All right. Topic number 2, and hopefully you maybe know more about this than I do, because I don't know that much, but it's just something I came across, and I don't even know what it is yet at this point, but the PS5. Are you familiar at all with the PS5?
PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
I did. I'm not really a gamer at all.
Yeah.
I used to be when I was younger. I was huge into games, like loved it. And then, life started happening, and you realize your time's better spent other places. Not to knock on video games, but I don't really have the time to put on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like tech, so I have read just a little bit about it.
I don't think it's coming out from what I saw. It might be a few years out.
Yeah, I think it's a few years out. Sounds like the one thing people are really excited about is there's a special proprietary solid-state drive that's going to load things super, super fast, where on the regular system, something that might take 30 to 40 seconds, we're now talking like 1 second.
Because that's kind of my question when I see that the PS5 is coming out. Like, at this point, what are they making that's better? Like, how is it better?
This is the
and
thing.
Needed.
But this is really the bigger question, because PC gaming is like where you see a lot more probably cutting edge stuff as far as hardware goes.
Yeah.
And really what they're doing with these things is they're just buying PC parts and just kind of almost making a little like less capable PC as far as what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally is actual PC parts going into these things.
Are the most intense gamers PC gamers?
I want to say so, yeah. I mean, my friends, you still get like a lot of...
But the upper echelon of gamers, are they PC gamers?
Yeah. And I think, and it's probably has to deal more with money too, because, a lot of people with a little bit of effort and discipline can swing a $200 or $300 purchase for a game system.
Yeah.
But like to build a PC out, whether you're going to build it or buy one, like for the most part, you're probably looking at $500 or $1,000 or more, depending on how much you want to get into it.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why I'm seeing more of it now, because you're starting to finally have friends that have some disposable income. They're not in college anymore.
Things,
so that's why I have seen a lot of my friends shift over to the PC side of things. But PS5, it's Tanner. Okay, now you're bringing me back to the whole point. It's one of the biggest gaming systems, so it's gonna be super hyped up and rated. And you know what? I could just say, well, PCs have been doing that same thing forever. So you know what? I'm going to say PS5 is overrated.
Overrated, okay.
I went through the whole range of emotions there.
Okay, this next one, I think you actually mentioned this earlier in the podcast, and this is going to be a topic asking you because it's probably what's involved in your profession. So the underrated or overrated, Shopify and or Squarespace. not comparing the two, but almost lumping them
Just
together as
like online website builders.
Yes, like almost like consumer, or
Yeah.
I don't know what would you call it? People that are not.
I would
people that
just
aren't
call it. I would just
extremely-
call it like just a kind of do-it-yourself website
Yeah,
builder.
yeah.
I think they're underrated because, and this is, I make my money. I mean, the biggest chunk of my income personally comes from building websites. Like that is how I make my money. So you might say, well, isn't something that someone else can do it themselves? Isn't that like a direct threat to you? And for some people, for some clients, customers, yeah, it would be like the do-it-yourselfers, but actual businesses that have actual people running their business that actually depend on money getting made and
Right.
deals getting made don't have time to sit down for weeks on end and build a website. And that's where they pay someone with their expertise to do it.
Yep.
And, it's just a tool like anything else. The tool is getting easier to use than they were 1, 2, 5, 10 years ago. But it is making people more aware of things, and it's making things more competitive too. So I think they're underrated. We use Squarespace for Massenomics,
Yep.
and as someone that has the skills to do things way beyond Squarespace, we've been really, really happy with it for multiple years on end, and it's actually made our life very easy for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we could do Shopify just as easy, but they both have kind of their pros and
Yeah.
cons. And
I like Squarespace because I'm even able to go in
Well,
and
and
do
that's the-
things.
and
And
that's
if
the
we
thing,
weren't,
it's-
I couldn't.
and that's why I still I do Squarespace websites for customers. And the great thing about it is, Tanner, you probably wouldn't call yourself the most technical savvy
No,
person in the
I
world.
definitely
You
would
definitely
not.
have more skills than a lot of people, but I think you wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, I'm a computer. I'm,
No,
I'm very
I definitely
I'm
wouldn't-
a computer expert."
would not hang my
But
hat on
the
that.
thing is, they've made a product that makes it very easy to use.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do something, if you take a little bit of initiative and Google it, you can learn how or find out whether it is possible. And then, when you look at it, the whole point of this is to solve business problems, and it helps solve business problems. So I think those tools are incredibly underrated.
But even wouldn't you say like you as a professional can still use someone that is not a professional can go out and build the website on this?
Oh
but
yeah, and also
you could still do it.
And here's
like someone.
Here's the perfect analogy. Okay, if I wanted a new house, I could pay someone a lot of money to build one.
Yeah.
Or I could go buy a couple $1,000s worth of tools and some wood. Never would get anything close to resembling a house. Like not at all.
Right.
Like it'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, that is a pile of wood and there's some tools sitting next to
Yeah.
it and nothing happened here.
Right.
And I would have wasted a lot of time and a lot of money. And that's exactly what these things are. Is you can buy the tool. It doesn't mean you know how to use it. Or if you use it, it doesn't mean you'll use it correctly.
Yep.
I mean, it's helping. It's the odds are you'll do better than if you didn't use the tool.
Yeah.
But just because you have a tool doesn't mean you are
Yeah.
a professional.
And maybe there's someone out there like building a house. Maybe he's a pretty decent handyman, so maybe he could build a decent house. Or just like with this, maybe someone's relatively skilled at some of this, so they could make a relatively decent website.
Yeah,
but
everyone knows someone that
Yeah.
probably is like, oh, they take nice pictures and they know how to use social media. Well, that person would probably do better at it than
Yeah.
your random aunt that likes to go on Facebook and she's maybe not the one making a good store for you. You know,
So the final answer is you said
Underrated, underrated.
Okay. Last topic for over under. Overrated or underrated? Super Mario Brothers 2.
2. Wow, okay.
Again, you have to think about where it's rated.
I do, because if you look at the first 3, it's the most underrated. It's the most hated.
It's
of the
lowly
first-
rated, yeah.
It's very lowly rated. I'm not up on my Mario history, but I believe someone will definitely know if I'm wrong when
Yeah.
I'm saying this. But I believe it was actually made. Super Mario 2 was actually made as a completely different game.
Yes, a
And then-
different character outside of Mario
And then,
being
like
the
last second, they kind of reskinned the whole thing.
I understand it the same way. I didn't research this, but I have heard that same thing
Okay.
before.
And maybe that's
They
just a
reskinned
myth,
it and
but-
said, "No, this is Mario."
Yeah.
That's why it's freaking
Well,
turnips and
it doesn't make any
all
like,
these things.
in the Mario universe. At least in that time, it doesn't really align with anything else they have going on. But
Did you ever play Mario 2?
I did, yeah. That was when you're a kid and you just have a few friends that have a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the games that was around.
But in comparison to Mario 1 and Mario 3,
Oh yeah, it's not even. Especially Mario 3.
yeah,
like,
Mario
it's-
3 was some next level.
it was.
Really good. Mario 1 is pretty fun though too.
It is. It just the whole thing is Mario 2 is. I mean, Birdo, the thing with the big suck hole on its face.
Spits the egg out of his face.
It's such a dumb.
You can
character.
jump on the egg and pick it up and throw it back at him.
Character. Had like it's like a dragon with like a bow. It's like a dragon with a giant hole and a bow tie in its head, and it's pink. So stupid.
It's just so much outside of all the other ones. It's such an anomaly.
Part of me, I think a lot of kids nowadays probably haven't really been exposed to Mario too much.
Yeah.
And they would probably think like, what the hell is this? So that makes me want to say that it's underrated because people don't know like what
they don't appreciate it really, like
the whole gamut that we've had to span to get to where we are now. So I'll say underrated.
Underrated. I'm happy with those answers. As always, now these will pop up on our Instagram, so we get to see
the most wrong I was on any last week was the magazines one.
Well, no, they said. Yes, because you said.
I said
you
magazines
said
were underrated. Like it's good that people get off their phones and read something, and everyone's like, "Oh,
very
they're just
widely
garbage.
overrated." I like Michael
in
Fahey had a really funny comment. He said, "Magazines are cool because." This thing shows up in the mail, and for like the first few minutes you're really excited about it, then you remember that it's literal garbage that you paid to have delivered to your house. But just the way how he said it's literally garbage. Giving it no credit whatsoever, which is pretty extreme. But when I read that, when he said that, it is a
funny way of putting it. Yeah. But that was the other ones I was pretty close on. That one I was really wrong on. I should say
cupcakes were
when I looked, that was about 50-50.
Okay, I think it was slightly underrated, which I'm like, no, I don't agree with that.
I don't think you can be underrated and have multiple TV shows about you.
Timed rest intervals was like an exact 50-50.
That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, me too. And then what was the first one?
I can't remember.
I'm gonna.
If only it was still in your story, Tanner.
It is. We gotta check. It's not important for anything, but I just want to know.
Yes, it's absolutely the most important.
Rain.
What?
Rain.
Oh, Rain Energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one was overrated.
They did overrated. Yeah. Yes.
People know when the original is showing up.
Yep. So we get to see how this week's plays out. I think that's a pretty fun thing to be doing now. I like checking that out. That wraps us up for this episode, but the most important thing that we didn't even discuss is what are you wearing there, Tommy?
Exactly. The brand new, hot off the press, Jefferson deadlift tee. If you're watching the video, I'm really showing it off right now.
Yeah.
Tanner has one on too, so we both approve. The reviews are in. People love it.
We just started shipping them. First shipments went out today, so they're starting to. You'll see them surfacing all across the globe.
Yep. And we do have some exciting little plans for this thing too.
We do. We have some good marketing stuff in the works.
So be on the lookout. I mean, most importantly, you should buy one.
Yes.
And do some Jefferson deadlifts in it. Yep. Let people know you only support proper deadlifts.
No cheating allowed.
No cheating. Let the world know you are not a cheater.
Yeah.
There's no other way of doing it. Until you do one, you are a cheater. But yeah, go out and buy one.
Yeah, and shorts, deadlifter, and lift shorts are both fully stocked in all sizes, and basically that gets us to a pretty good spot now where we just about have everything in stock. So if you want something, buy it right now. Mm-hmm. That's
There's
your
a good
fair
chance
warning.
by the time you hear this, that's probably already
changed.
That's
probably not true now. Probably out of several. That's just how it goes now. It's always like, oh, I think we're pretty good on things, and it's like, oh no, wait, we're out of stock on 10 things now.
That lasted for a couple days. Yep.
But as we sit here, we're pretty good. So there's your warning. Check out everything else in the store. Leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts. I'd like to see a few more reviews in there so we can read them. Mm-hmm. Kill some downtime in our airing of our next episode.
So my nightmare doesn't come true and we have nothing to talk about and turn into failures.
We can always have those podcast reviews in our back pocket then, if you guys would leave some. Like us on YouTube, Battle James and the gang for first comment, but also remember to like the video, as Scott pointed out this week. Like us on Facebook, and most importantly, follow us on our Instagram handles, where you can still, as of now, see how many likes we're getting.
You can still count our likes. Yeah. My number of likes are much less exciting than the Massenomics account. And you can, if you really want to see that, you can find it at Tomahawk_D.
And the official Massenomics account is at Massenomics. Thank you for episode 165. Catch you next time for 166.
See ya.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.